Hello and welcome back to this game, case 5 of Spirit of Justice. So I remember what I do remember. I played this only yesterday, or was it this morning? I think it was yesterday. I think I would have remembered if it was this morning. So I played this just yesterday, but I remember we're up against Phoenix Wright as Apollo Justice. We're facing Phoenix Wright in a court of law. So that is exciting and scary. All right. You can't just walk away. Even politicians have to explain themselves in a court of law.
I'm afraid I simply don't know how it happened. I can't possibly explain matters outside my purview. Perhaps it was a mistake of the part of the secretary.
Oh, no you don't, you slippery eel. Mr. Wright, would you care to respond? I won't argue your assertion. My client lent the treasure in question to the doctor and asked him to study it. It seems that much is a fact. Now we're getting somewhere. However, it has no bearing on the issue of their own ownership. How so? Mr. Addison, I fully understand your position here. You had to hide the fact that you sent the crystal out to be studied. Your family would have been very upset if they had found out. It's a family heirloom after all. Now this is odd, because I don't know if Phoenix has ever done this before. This feels out of character right now, but you know, I'm not often one to shout that things are out of character because it's the writers who decide on the characters. So when they're writing lines, they probably often have decisions that they make that they think will add to the character in some way, and they have their own reasons for a character doing one thing or another. So like I'm often not criticizing the game when I say this, but it's interesting because Phoenix doesn't normally do he doesn't do leading the witness at all. Like leading his client to say a certain story. That's still something prosecutors do all the time. Is they're like, oh, I get what happened. You didn't murder him. You were at the bar at the time, weren't you, Davey? And then Davey will be like, oh, yes, of course. I was at the bar that time. Yeah, just as my lawyer says. But Phoenix, from memory, never really does that. Phoenix always says something that happens. And he has to force people to admit that something's the case because they don't want to admit it. And when they do want to admit it, they admit it before Phoenix says anything, because why wouldn't they? So, this is different. But anyway, your family would have been very upset if they had found out it's a family heirloom after all. You've got to be kidding me.
Mr. Wright is, well, right, of course, but then he always is. That's why he's my lawyer. The crystal is a precious Addison family heirloom, and has been for centuries. But Dr. Buff was so eager to study its proud heritage, I just couldn't say no. I didn't even tell my grandfather.
But in order to win the backing of your so-called benefactor, you were going to give what you claim to be the crystal of Army Faye to that person? You were going to give a precious family heirloom away, just like that?
I was going to explain everything to grandfather later, honest.
My client's grandfather is very proud of his grandson for following in his footsteps. And if refusing him would have meant dashing the dreams of his darling grandson, I doubt the kindly old man could have said no. Well, grandchildren are meant to be spoiled. That's what grandfathers are for. Your Honor, please. I mean, it's been in the family for centuries.
My grandfather thinks highly of my talents as a politician. That's why he entrusted me with this very important name placard today.
Why is the placard glitching? Like, why? Oh, there we go.
So I'm sure he would have been okay with me using the crystal as I saw fit.
Grandpa's spoiled little brat. I think the judge is buying it, Apollo. No surprise there. He's always going on about his own grandchild after all.
Excuse me, can I leave now, Mr. Wright? I believe my work is done.
By all means, Detective Sky. Thank you for your assistance. You're welcome. It's nice to testify at a civil trial once in a while. See you around. It seems the facts have changed somewhat. Mr. Addison Wimperson apparently lent his family heirloom to Dr. Buff. Mr. Justice, how would the defense like to proceed? Oh, alright, now what? Apollo, let's see what they know about this so-called crystal of Army Fae. Let me just put something on my tongue to numb it for a bit. Okay, I just put something on the tip of my tongue to numb the ulcer that's on it. I only have a tiny one, but it's still annoying. Apollo, let's see what they know about this so-called crystal of Army Fae. Maybe we can find some inconsistencies in their statements. Right. Okay then, Mr. Wright. If the item in question really is the Addison family heirloom, then let's hear all your client knows about it. Of course. Mr. Addison Wimperson, please tell the defense everything you know about the crystal's origin.
Alright, now then, listen and learn. This is a tale of the crystal of Army Fae and the illustrious history of the Addison clan. Are you ready? Our story begins back in the old country, when the Addison family reigned supreme.
Jew. Shh. I'm just staring at... Okay, yeah. So, yeah, the sticker... It's purposely a sticker that looks terrible on top. Okay, got it.
My ancestor was praised as a benevolent ruler. He protected the spirit mediums, a minority back then, from the rest of the locals. Some discriminated against them, you see, while others tried to abuse their power. As thanks, Army Fae gave the crystal she had specially made as a gift to him. I am a descendant of that great lord. As such, my political power and influence is backed by centuries of history.
Well, that devolved into a great load of self-aggrandizing propaganda fast. As you can see, the crystal of Army Fae is an heirloom of the esteemed House of Addison. And you have proof that it's always been in the Addison family? I have someone who gave a statement to that effect. My client's neighbor, one Ives Shineto, age 85, gave the following statement. The Addison showed me the crystal back when I was but a lad. Objection! Can we really trust the memory of an old man? Mr. Justice. Would you care to explain that statement to the judge? I knew he was gonna play that card. I didn't mean... What I'm trying to say is... Never underestimate the memory of your elders. I may forget my verdicts the next day, but the memories of my past are clear as day. Therefore, I find Mr. Ives Shineto's statement to be perfectly credible. Wow, did you see how Mr. Wright got the judge on his side? That's definitely a trick I want up my sleeve. You're not helping, Athena. You may cross-examine the witness, Mr. Justice. Alright. I did not understand most of what he said, so I don't know how to find fault with it. I guess I'm just gonna press.
My ancestor was praised as a benevolent ruler.
Hold it. That object you set down there, is it something of importance to you?
It's a name placard. This one here belonged to my grandfather, Abraham Addison. He had it custom made during his distinguished political career. It's special because it was crafted from the finest Italian plastic.
I wasn't aware the Italians were famous for their fine plastic.
You can touch it if you want.
No, I'm fine.
Very well. I'll just continue with my testimony. My ancestor was praised as a benevolent ruler, but he was also an eminent politician. He protected the spirit mediums, a minority back then, from the rest of the locals.
So I take it the relationship with the Fae clan was a close one.
A smooth and open line of communication with my entire electorate. That is a Paul Addison way.
Huh. Oh, sorry. I was asking about your ancestor.
Whether it's about me or my ancestor, feel free to ask me anything you'd like. Transparency in government, that's the Paul Addison way.
More like dodging questions, that's the Paul Addison way. Thanks, I'll be sure to ask when I have something you actually answer.
As I was saying, the Addison family protected the Fae spirit mediums back then.
Oh no, it's hard to press him for answers because he's a politician, so he just avoids all the questions. That's really funny. That's a great concept for a Phoenix Wright witness.
Some discriminated against them, you see, while others tried to abuse their power.
Spirit mediums were targets of discrimination?
Yes, some people even treated them like they were monsters. The transformation the mediums underwent when channeling spirits frightened the locals. And then there were those who tried to use them.
You mean they sought to control the channeling powers of the mediums?
Discrimination against a minority is absolutely despicable.
Have they retroactively, retroactively changed... What's that word called? Retcon. Have they retconned how spirit mediums work in this series? Because I was pretty sure in the previous games, people did not see transformations happen with spirit mediums. You could not tell by looking at them that there was another spirit in their body. You could only tell by what they were saying. So, because, like, I swear, people... When Pearl turned into Mia, when Pearl channeled Mia, like, Pearl, I mean, she grew to be, 5'11" or however tall Mia probably is, and, grew large assets and looked wildly different. And yet people still thought it was Pearl. At least from my memory. So I wonder if that was just a joke they were making, or if she did turn different, but people were just like, well, it's impossible, so they were like justifying it in their head somehow. Or did they retcon it? Or am I misunderstanding this stuff now, and people still can't tell just by looking at them? But I feel like with the case beforehand, with Maya channeling the dead man, in me, Mr. In Me, I feel like that whole thing, like, they knew instantly upon looking at her. But then again, those were people who are more familiar with spirit mediums, so who knows?
A vote for me is a vote to end discrimination. I vow to root it out wherever it may be. That's my promise to you.
He's totally ignoring your questions. It's like you're a moderator at a political debate. Yeah, and only he cares about his talking points. As thrilling as your campaign is, could we please get back to your testimony?
Heh, as you wish. Now then, as for the Crystal of Army Fae.
Oh, wow, a picture.
As thanks, Army Fae gave the crystal she'd specially made as a gift to him.
She'd specially made. Do I have proof against that? I'm saving it real quick, but do I have proof against the fact that it's specially made? Okay. Doesn't seem to do anything there. Okay. That doesn't help. Okay. Decipher the patterns, but have yet to crack the riddle. The opaque crystal orb is the key. Uh-huh. Okay, I don't seem to have anything that disproves that. You said she had it... Wait, you said she had it made. So then it was made in Japan?
That's right. They say she hired a famous craftsman to make it.
Hold on. Where did Army Fae live? Did Army Fae live in Kurain? Or did Army Fae live in Kurain Village? Because if she lived in Kurain Village, this just said, then was it made in Japan? Have they changed the locale of this game? Hold on a sec. No, I don't think they have. I think they must be talking about Kurain village. I mean Kurain, which is in Japan, right?
And they say it's quite valuable too.
And you would go in and take such a priceless family heirloom and just give it to your patron.
Heh, that's so typical of you ignorant common types. Making difficult decisions when the chips are down is what being a politician is all about.
But only when it's in service of your own political career, you mean?
The crystal is a testament to my ancestors' remarkable achievements. And furthermore, I am a descendant of that great lord.
Hold it! Hold it! So tell me, Mr. Addison Wimperson, are you famous in Kurain village?
You can say that, but I find my popularity to be rather bemusing.
Bemusing?
Yes, my campaign posters keep going missing as soon as I put them up. My avid supporters and female fans are likely taking them home to hang in their bedrooms.
I guess ignorance really is bliss.
All this only proves my fine lineage. As such, my political power and influence is backed by centuries of history.
I'm sorry, but is any of that relevant to the issues of the relic's rightful owner?
Have you never heard of kingcraft?
Kingcraft?
It's the art of ruling as a king. My father drilled it into my head from a young age. And one of its precepts states, ruin awaits a ruler who responds to every single issue posed by the masses.
Well, that answered my question about what he meant by king of this nation. Progress. Apollo, who is this Ami Faye anyway? I believe she was the founder of the Kurain channeling technique. The plaintiff claims she had the crystal made for her ancestor. That would mean it was made in Japan, right? Yes, I suppose it would. Okay, alright. So we have to prove it was made in America. Wait, this is where it gets tricky to me. Because... like, I'm just gonna treat the game how it takes me, but this game, in the Japanese version of this game is set in Japan. The main part of the game is set in Japan. And the localization is what changed it to Los Angeles. Am I right? So, how would a clue be about this? Anyway, whatever. Is there anything that proves that it had to have been made in America? I mean, how would we prove that? How could we possibly? Mutama motif from the Kurain founding period. Okay. I mean, how would we ever prove where it was made? I don't know. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed through the pressing on all of them again, just in case that's what you have to do. Alright, I went through all of it. So I've pressed it all twice, so it's not about pressing. It is about presenting. I do need to use evidence. So at least I've confirmed that for myself. The ancestor was praised as a benevolent ruler. He protected the spirit mediums, a minority back then, from the rest of the locals. Some discriminated against them, while others tried to abuse their power. As thanks, Ami Faye gave the crystal specifically made. I'm just trying to see. as a gift to him. Is there blood on that orb? Look at the very bottom. There's a little bit of red. Is that blood? Okay, so there's that symbol on the sort of base of the orb, right? And that's the Mitama motif from the Kudain founding period. The founding period. I think this might be it. Is it that the time doesn't match up? Whatever it is, I think this is the evidence I have to present. Is it that the time didn't match up properly because it's... That's what I'm guessing. Oh, I got the evidence right. You stated that Amy Faye had the crystal made for your ancestor. So am I to assume it was made in Japan?
That's right. The craftsmanship is unbeatable.
Well, that's strange. I don't see how your so-called crystal could have been made there.
What are you talking about?
It's quite obvious if you take a closer look at this. Okay, well, I'm guessing it's this. Take a look at the distinctive design here. According to Dr. Buff, it's a Mitama motif dating back to the early days of the Kingdom of Kudain.
The Kingdom of Kudain, And you base this on...
Here. This piece of evidence, Your Honor. These are the doctor's research notes on the Founder's Orb. Oh, hold on. I'm dumb. If this is right. Is Kudain not in Japan? I guess I just assumed that it was, but I don't think it is. Hold on. Yep, okay. Kudain is not in Japan. Kudain is in an Asian country, but not Japan. Understood. Okay, that's where we're getting at. However, did they just not change the text? Was it supposed to say America? Is that a mistake? Or was it actually made in Japan? It's just weird that they would mention Japan when the game has been constantly mentioning America. But is Ami Faye from Japan? I don't know. Anyway. This is a box in which the orb was originally stored. It features the same pattern as the one found on the orb.
They do look like the same pattern.
Therefore, I assert that the disputed item must have been made in the Kingdom of Kudain.
My placard!
Objection!
The Kudain channeling technique originated in the Kingdom of Kudain, and Ami Faye is known to have traveled there to train. With that in mind, what's to say she didn't bring that pattern back with her? But since this is clearly a Kudaini's design, not even you can deny the possibility that it was made there, in the Kingdom of Kudain. Anything's possible to some extent. That doesn't make it true. So you can't conclude that the orb is from Kudain based solely on that pattern? If it were that simple, I could just as easily say it's Japanese.
I have to agree with Mr. Wright. The pattern alone proves nothing, but that also means there's no basis to claim the item dispute was made in Japan either. At this rate, we're going nowhere fast.
He's right. We're just spinning our wheels here. I wonder if we have any evidence that could break this stalemate. Evidence that could break this stalemate. I don't know. I mean, it probably exists if the game is asking me if it exists or not. This case has had a lot of choices for some reason. The defense would like to present a piece of evidence to the court. A piece that will finally break this stalemate. Oh? Well, you sure piqued my interest. Let's see what you got. Alright. I will now prove that this is, in fact, the Founder's Orb. Here's a picture of the Founder's Orb. I don't know how to prove it. How am I supposed to prove it? That's impossible. This is impossible. And just how does that piece of evidence prove that the relic is the Founder's Orb? It doesn't, does it? Not by any means I can fathom. Sorry, Apollo, but I have to agree with the boss on this. Me too, actually. Me three, defense. Yikes. Time to think that one over again, Mr. Justice. Yes, Your Honor. Evidence. Okay, so maybe it doesn't exist. I was kind of presenting a random piece of evidence to see if the game would bring me back to the point after I said it exists or not. There doesn't seem to be anything we can use, at least not at this point. Well, unless we can find something, this trial won't be going anywhere. Well, that's much better. What's his deal? I have a suggestion. Why don't we consider this from a different angle? I'm listening. What if the Defiant Dragons really were authorized to take possession of the relic? I'm afraid I don't know where you're going with this, Mr. Wright. Consider the Orb Transfer Agreement, which states, I agree to hand over the Founder's Orb to the Defiant Dragons if I will come to no harm. What if, as the last part suggests, this was written under duress? That would render the agreement null and void. What are you suggesting, Mr. Wright? While you were on your little cave expedition, I was investigating Dr. Buff's accident. And there was something you overlooked, Mr. Justice. Namely, that his accident might have actually been murder. Alright. Okay, this is gonna turn into a murder case, I think. What? Murder? Mr. Wright, you do realize such statements are not to be made lightly. Are you suggesting the Doctor was murdered by the Defiant Dragons? Yes, but follow me on this for a sec. The books that came tumbling down were from the archaeology shelf. However, among that mountain of books was a single volume on psychology. What's more, there was some blood on it. And do you feel this is important because the books that came tumbling down were from the top shelf, the archaeology books? We know this because the Doctor's books were meticulously organized by subject. Archaeology took up the entire shelf, so that psychology book is completely out of place. Come to think of it, the shelves were arranged quite carefully. It's also worth noting that psychology books only take up a tiny part of the bottom shelf. You might wonder why a book on psychology was found amid the pile of archaeology books, but I believe I can explain that with a single out-of-place book was doing there. The Doctor was struck from behind while selecting a psychology book from the shelf. And that's where the blood got on the book? Precisely. And to make it look like an accident, he was buried under a mountain of archaeology books. Objection! Wait a second. This is all just speculation, right? Or do you have proof that it was murder? Of course I do. You do? On a hunch, I had Detective Sky examine the Doctor's head wound. She found that he'd been struck by the corner of some object or another. Wait, what? A wound like that couldn't have resulted from a fall to the floor, you know. Do you understand what this means, Mr. Justice? The wound makes it crystal clear that Dr. Buff was murdered. Oh no. What? Well, that was unexpected. Who'd have thought we'd break out of the stalemate like this? He pulled the ladder right out from under us. Still, if he thinks that's enough to make me back down, he's not got another thing coming. Also, poor phrasing there, Athena. He pulled the ladder right out from under us. Even if the cause of death was murder, what makes you think it was the Defiant Dragons? You should know better than to hold baseless accusations. Did you forget who you were up against, Mr. Justice? Huh? You didn't actually think I'd come to court without witnesses and evidence, did you? What are you talking about? I would like to request further testimony from the plaintiff. Specifically, I would like the court to hear how he saw one of the rebels leaving the crime scene. He saw what? You know, I would yell that if it wasn't 2:28 a.m. I record this a lot of the time, like early in the morning, so I don't want to yell most of the yelling lines. Otherwise, I would go full in on the voice acting. If he can prove it was murder, that's the end of this. Did he have this up his sleeve the whole time? I accidentally skipped one of her lines. How could Mr. Wright do this to us? He was just waiting to spring this trap. Heh. This trial has taken another unexpected turn, but I must mention, Mr. Wright, that you have yet to identify the murder weapon. The object used to commit the murder was not located at the scene of the crime. Oh, I thought it was the book. The murderer likely disposed of it elsewhere. Right. Well, I never thought we'd be deliberating the issue of murder in a civil trial. All right, Mr. Addison Wimperson, your testimony if you please. I love that animation, that's great.
Prepare to be dazzled. Dazzled by charismatic oration forged in the crucible of campaign battles.
The rebel's crime.
That evening I was walking alone, lost in thought. I passed by the doctor's house, and that's when I saw Mr. Arbor. He was running out the front door. It was around 10 at night. Surely that must have been him fleeing the scene of his crime. A vote for me is a vote to end such violence. That is my promise to you.
So the plaintiff saw a possible suspect fleeing from the doctor's residence, and it was within the window of the estimated time of death. Dad Sabo, what in the world were you doing there then? Okay, alright. It seems Mr. Arbor was loitering around Korean Village that day. There's evidence he was in the doctor's study as well. Isn't that right, Mr. Justice? The suitcase? You mean the suitcase? Exactly. He must have been in quite the rush to leave that behind. Oh, and by the way, Your Honor, Mr. Arbor just so happens to be sitting in the gallery today. Ah! See? That's him trying to escape as we speak. Bailiff, don't let that man get away. Right, you backstabber. Why are you doing this to me? All right. The counsel/defense may question the plaintiff/witness once more. Please proceed, Mr. Justice. Cross-examination. The rebel's crime. All right. Oh. Now. I'm really leaning back for this one. That evening I was walking alone, lost in thought. I passed by the doctor's house, and that's when I saw Mr. Arbor. He was right. It was around 10 at night. Surely that must have been him fleeing the scene of his crime. Okay, hang on. This seems like a weird out-of-place statement. Okay, so that's the front door. If you were walking past, should you have seen his dead body? Is that what we're getting at? It's around 10 at night. Surely that must have been him fleeing the scene of the crime. A vote for me is a vote to end such violence. That is my promise to you. Alright. Let's also just check the time of death. Between 10 and 11. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Alright. Okay. One of the books is stained with coffee. Interesting. He's right by the window. Alright. So without knowing anything, I'm saving it, and I'm just going to take a shot in the dark at the map one. Right here. Objection! Okay. As I said, It was a shot in the dark, and I don't regret it. At least I know that that statement and that thing aren't the thing. It just seemed like it stood out particularly. I wouldn't be surprised if that was still the thing that I had to present on. Maybe I have to press on it. Did you notice anything unusual?
Yes, his behavior was incredibly suspicious. His eyes were darting around as if he ran off in a total panic. As soon as I saw that, I knew he had done something, and it probably wasn't good.
Despite that, you still didn't report it to the police.
Well, who would have thought he had killed Dr. Buff? Not me, that's why I didn't report him.
So the witness didn't notify the police. Is that an important statement, Mr. Justice? Yes, it is. Yes, it's important. I requested the witness add it to his testimony.
Heh, sure, why not? I had no idea that Dr. Buff was dead. That's why I didn't call the police.
Okay, now? Is it that he's next to it's next to the window? That's if so, I was on the right track. Objection! Oh, okay. It's not that one, but don't you worry. Don't you worry, because I will just reload it. That's why I saved it. Is it the picture of him dead? And then you can see that it's next to the window. Perhaps? Because I guess that map doesn't necessarily show where he was dead. But I'll just double check other stuff. Okay. Objection! It's not that either. I guess I'm dumb. Alright, both my theories were wrong. Maybe I'll just press the statement and see what they say about it, you know? Maybe there's something important in the statement once I press it. Hold it! You had no idea he was dead. In other words, you knew nothing about what had happened.
I am truly ashamed of myself.
What?
There's been a gruesome murder in my beloved village. What a fool I've been. I was thinking only of the village's future and world peace. It seems my earnest attitude and industrious nature have come back to haunt me.
Only a politician would try to pass off self-aggrandizement as self-deprecation. Apollo, you think this is how all politicians will be from now on? We're all doomed if they are.
If you don't mind, I'd like to continue with my testimony.
Okay, I didn't get any useful information out of that. Hold it. Let's press this real quick. Whew. But at the time, you didn't know the doctor was dead, is that correct?
It's true that I've been known as a prodigy from a very young age.
Huh?
I graduated high school and college with exceptional grades. As class president, I reformed stale old school traditions. My exploits were even covered in local papers. But as exceptional as I am, I can't possibly be accepted to know everything at all times.
This isn't working. He keeps bending the questions to serve his own needs.
Hang in there, Apollo.
Mr. Addison Wimperson, I believe the court is well aware of your exceptional nature. Now, would you please continue with your testimony?
I have the upcoming election in the bag.
Okay, I feel like we've got to do something here. Why would he know? Why would he know that he's dead? There's nothing there. Is there any reason that we would know that he's dead? It was 10 PM, May 15. I don't know why he would know. I have no idea. I feel like I mean, I haven't pressed, but anyway. He didn't know the doctor was dead? Well, I guess that makes sense, considering the body was inside the study. Right, how could he have known? Guess I should at least find out where our Weasley witness was when he saw Dads. Oh, maybe I should press more about... Right. I think I need to press this, maybe. Where exactly were you when you saw Mr. Arbol? Where exactly were you when you saw Mr. Arbol?
Right here, under this tree. I saw him dashing out of Mr. Buff's front door.
There we go. That's the information I needed. And he didn't notice you?
No, I was hidden by the tree.
Is it really all that important to know where the plaintiff saw Mr. Arbol? Yes, it is. Yes, I believe it matters a lot. I ask that it please be added to the witness's testimony.
I was under this tree when I saw Mr. Arbol.
He was running out the front door. I didn't know he was dead. Okay, now that that's in there... Now do I do this? Oh my gosh. I know what they're getting at. I absolutely know what they're getting at. Now I just need to figure out. Now, if with that being in the testimony, I now present the map to here. Objection! Here we go. Mr. Addison Wimperson, rather than Mr. Arbol. Wasn't there something else that should have been had your undivided attention?
Like what? Oh yes, of course. A politician must also keep his finger on the electoral pulse, focus on its...
Sorry, but you're way off.
I am?
Would you care to explain, Mr. Justice? If the witness saw Mr. Arbol from his position here, then he should have also been able to see the doctor's body. Oh, sorry. After all, it was right next to a huge window. Why, I believe you have a point there. With the body that clearly visible to the witness, it's unthinkable that he wouldn't have reported it to the police. Would the witness care to respond? Did he fall asleep? Mr. Addison Wimperson? You alright, man? Mr. Addison Wimperson.
Huh? There are many sides to any issue.
What did I ever do to deserve this? In any case, I'd like the court to acknowledge the inconsistency in the witness's testimony. Mr. Addison Wimperson, did you really see Mr. Arbol?
Yes.
That's so funny. Where do you think you're going?
Oh, I thought I'd return to my seat, seeing as how I'd already answered the question.
I got water down the wrong pipe. This isn't some small town hall debate. So you just stay right there until I say we're through.
I'll have to run that by my campaign manager before I...
Gee. Mr. Addison Wimperson, I think it's time for you to come clean. Oh, he's gonna do it again. Phoenix is gonna do the underhanded feeding him information thing again. Huh? So then, does this mean he didn't see Mr. Arbol? As your lawyer, Mr. Addison Wimperson, I advise you divulge that matter we discussed. Silence is no longer an option.
Are you sure about this? I'm in the midst of running for office. I can't afford to let any strange rumors get out.
Don't worry. You won't suffer any blowback for what you're about to reveal.
Blowback? I'm not sure I like the sound of that, Mr. Wright.
Not to worry, Your Honor. Nothing untoward will come out of this, I promise. Now then, Mr. Justice. Remember how it was an anonymous caller that reported the doctor's death? Oh, they're saying he was an anonymous caller. Come to think of it. Emma, who was the first one to discover the body? About that, whoever it was, it seems they wanted to remain anonymous. What? It happens now and then. Some people would rather not get involved with the police. Wait, you're not saying that... Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. The anonymous source who contacted the police after discovering the body was... my client, Mr. Paul Addison Wimperson. What? You don't say. So, you see, he played his part as a concerned citizen quite admirably, if I may say so. Isn't that right?
Yes, indeed. In our society today, there are too many who choose indifference over righteous action, but I don't number among them. That's why I did my duty as a concerned citizen. One might call me the model citizen, one worthy of standing above the rest. What a really standard bearer he is, reporting it anonymously. What a real standard, whatever. Oh, and by the way, Mr. Justice, wasn't there someone else at the scene of the crime when my client discovered the body? Oh, you mean Mr. Arbol? He would have been leaving the doctor's house right around then. Wait, that means... Yes, it does. In short, what my client witnessed was Mr. Arbol fleeing the scene of a heinous murder. Ah! And that's not all. Based on what we've heard so far, Mr. Arbol looked exceedingly suspicious, and that's putting it mildly. We already know the Defiant Dragons threatened the doctor with bodily harm. We don't know that. And now they've killed him. The so-called Orb Transfer Agreement is null and void. Ah!
Wow. I mean, we're getting owned by Phoenix. Apollo, if you don't come up with some sort of counter-argument... And what sort of evidence do you have? Can you actually prove that it was Mr. Arbol who killed the doctor? That move had desperate written all over it. It's all I've got, so I'm going with it. Evidence? I suppose it's true that I don't have any. I knew it. But I don't have another. But I do have another witness. You do? You should know I've always come fully prepared, Mr. Justice. That's not true. And my new witness will provide testimony proving Mr. Arbol's guilt. Gah. A new witness? I wonder who it could be. Who could it be?
Very well, bailiff, please summon our new witness.
Pearl? Pearl is the only person I can think of.
In the meantime, the court will take a brief recess. I would like both sides to use this time to prepare properly, understood?
Yeah, I wonder if Pearl's going to be our little witness for this next thing. I do love Pearl, so I wouldn't mind it. But at the same time, it would be kind of cool to get a new character. No, actually, it could be the son. I just realized it could be the son. It could be Sarge or whatever. Which would be less interesting, but it make more sense. Well, I knew Mr. Wright would put up a tough fight, but... Yeah, just when I thought we had him, he turned the tables on us. He really is the turnabout terror. We can't let him blindside us again.
Looks like they got me again. 3 times in 1 year. That's a new record.
Dads, please, no more new records of bad puns while you're at it. It's hard enough trying to help you as it is.
Roger that. I'll be more careful next time. Is what Mr. Wright said true? Did you really pay a visit to Dr. Buff that night? Sure did. Can't remember the exact time though. All I know is he wouldn't hand over the orb. Someone put it in his head that we rebels were dangerous. That's why he threw me out. So the doctor was still alive when Dad saw him.
We'll still have to prove it though.
Better brace yourself, son. The next witness's testimony could make or break this case.
Yeah, I know. Hey, where's Trucy? She went to go see her dad. Maybe she's still mad. More like worried. Worried that this trial will create a rift between you two. And that you might then leave the agency. She has an active imagination.
Excuse me, the trial will be resuming shortly.
Well, let's go see what the new testimony awaits us. What new testimony awaits us? Why do I suck at doing these lines? May 17. District Court. Courtroom number 6.
All right, court is back in session. Mr. Wright, you said you had a witness.
Your Honor, I would like to call the lone survivor of the doctor's murder to the stand. Oh, so it is the son, right? Wait, he can't mean that Sarge is here? You mean Dr. Buff's reclusive son? How did you get him to cooperate? It's just a drone. Nothing a little persuasion couldn't handle. The poor child only agreed to help if it meant catching the killer. Getting a kid like that to overcome his fear, now that's impressive. This must be really important testimony for the kid to come out in public like this. Stop building it up. It's a drone. I get it. I know the joke.
Very well, Mr. Wright. Please call your witness to the stand.
It's the drone. It's the drone. You're panning up and it's going to be a helicopter floating in the sky. Yep.
Oh my. Sergeant Buff at your service, sir. Sir!
He's here as a drone, really?
Mr. Wright? What exactly is the meaning of this?
Past trauma has rendered it impossible for the witness to venture into public. Leaving home was hard enough, and it seems leaving the witness lobby was just too much. But I would still like to continue with testimony delivered via this drone.
I understand it must be terrible to lose one's father like that. But testimony via a remote-controlled toy? Well, let's take things for a spin and see how it goes.
Just who's piloting this trial anyway? The judge sure warmed up to that idea fast. I think the phrase you're looking for is gave up.
You disappoint me, Corporal Justice. To think I once called you comrade.
Man, it's hard to do this bit at 2:51 a.m.
Defending the man who killed Papa? That's full-on treason, soldier. I hereby demote you back to private.
Corporal? Private? What the heck's he talking about, Apollo? It's a long story.
Now then, are you ready to testify, youngster? Locked and loaded, sir. Ready to rain lead down upon the perpetrator.
Okay, give me an easy one. Give me a simple one. How it happened that evening? Papa met with someone the night he died. I didn't have eyes on the ground, as I'd already mounted my siege defense, but I did hear him arguing with someone in the study. From my window, I saw the one designated dads getting ejected from the premises. After that, the man lingered around the perimeter for some time. He must have regrouped and killed my papa in the study later. I just know it.
So he was thrown out but later returned and committed the murder, did he?
Yes, Your Honor. So the man my client saw really must have been fleeing the fleeing Mr. Arbol. Oh, Mr. Arbol objected.
Objection! Right, you backstabbing no good. I didn't kill no one. It's the enemy. Ready your missiles and fire!
Whoa, 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 whoa! Oh my gosh.
Capitalist pig, I'll turn you into pork stroganoff. And that's just a taste of my ultimate anti-swine weapon.
Whoa, it fires missiles too?
Yes, well, the witness is all yours, Mr. Justice.
Oh my gosh, this case involves some of the loudest characters. Like, I voice him the loudest that I can, but that's the problem. Alright. So he met someone the night he died. I didn't have eyes on the ground, as I'd already mounted my siege defense, but I did hear him arguing with someone in his study. From my window, I saw the one designated Dats getting ejected from the premises. After that, the man lingered around the perimeter for some time. He regraved and killed my father in the study later. I just know it. Well, that's not very good evidence. You're saying... Oh, well, whatever. Your evidence is that you know he was there somewhere around that time, but that's not... Well, I guess we, let me just do this. So Sarge saw Dats too, and just when I thought things couldn't get any worse. I wonder why he hung around after being thrown out. I hate to say this, but if Dats proven to be the killer, we'll lose the orb to the plaintiff. So our only option is to prove that the Defiant Dragons had nothing to do with the murder. Okay. So it seems like the possibly interesting one is staying around. Oops. That, does seem suspicious. He kept hiding behind trees and telephone poles, stealing glasses at our house. Well, we couldn't exactly leave without the orb. I bet he was angry that he'd been kicked out. Well, this statement's dumb. But don't you keep your front door unlocked? So if so, then anyone could have gotten in. That's true. Papa didn't keep our house locked up. He said there was no need to because there were only good people in Korean Village. Yet he ended up dead anyway. Only a monster could do what he did to my kind trusting Papa. There will be no mercy. I vow swift and terrible vengeance. I'll carpet bomb the killer with everything in my arsenal. Fire! Stop it. While I sympathize with you, witness, you will refrain from firing Gatling guns in this court. Okay. Okay. How is Mr. Abo acting? How is Mr. Abo acting? Like a conquered trooper retreating from his tail between his legs. A trooper? Well, I guess he does dress like he's in the military. I bet those two would have really hit it off if they had met under different circumstances. Yeah, I can see that. And so the defeated soldier was expelled, but that wasn't the end. Okay. I'm arguing with someone in the study. I'm just going backwards. What was the argument about? I heard things like, where's the orb and are you Defiant Dragons really criminals? It sounded real volatile, like a war might break out in any second. So the two of them had an argument when Dats came to get the orb. Did you see or hear anything else? Yeah, I heard them arguing and then silence. Okay. Sarge, I've always wondered, who or what are you battling? That's, classified. Even so, it may be relevant to this case. I don't know if you're the right person to be asking about things like that. That's right. Such matters need to be handled with a certain delicacy. Oh, I guess curiosity got the better of me. You're out talking, no action, soldier. Out on the battlefield, it ain't the number of pretty words in your repertoire, but the number of bullets in your gun belt that counts. Easy for you to say. You're the one with all of them.
Would the witness please tell this court what he saw and heard that night?
Okay. Final one to press. Your father met with someone? Could you be more specific? No! I was in the middle of a crucial defensive siege operation. Right. You're referring to how you don't leave your room, correct? You'll never know where the enemy might be lurking outside the siege perimeter. What about, school? Oh, I don't go to boot camp. I'm a soldier. A sergeant doesn't associate with the Rickies who agreed to fight. With a kid like this, I bet Dr. Buff won't be getting any rest in the afterlife either. It was very brave of you to come to the courthouse today. But what was that you said about a siege defense? Oh, that? Well. Okay, that's every statement now pressed, I think. Yeah, that's every statement pressed. Alright, oh yeah, so I'm thinking I've gotta present. What am I gonna present? Huh? Undesignated dots. How do you know what dots looks like? Because of this. No, you said easy. You say you see it from the window. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Lurking around the perimeter. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, Alright, I presented the drone to the second statement. To the siege defense statement. Sarge, are you hiding something from me? How dare you question my superior officer like that? You want to get in on that stroganoff action with the pig boy over here, soldier? Sorry, but I'm afraid lawyers are missile proof. What?
Would the defense care to explain?
It's simple, Your Honor. Just as he's able to see what's happening in court right now, Sarge was able to see what was happening in the study then. Because of his drone. With his cherished drone, of course.
Ah, now that you mention it.
And to think, the answer was right before our eyes this whole time. Sarge, you were perfectly capable of patrolling the study that night. So you must have seen something. I'm hit! What is this strange new weaponry you're using against me? Courtroom warriors don't use guns on missiles because evidence is our weapon of choice. I liked that animation for the explosion. And that evidence has exposed your bold-faced lie. My truth bomb, Sarge, has stripped your defenses bare. A truth bomb? No! Mayday, mayday, I'm going down! Oh, did the drone break? Or is it, I mean, things break in Phoenix Wright all the time and they don't actually break.
Oh my, you alright?
Evidence. Never ever seen such fearsome ordnance. Tell it to us straight, Sarge. After all, you want to help your father, don't you? Papa? Yes, you want to find out who killed him, don't you? So please, tell us what you saw that night. It's not what you think. I didn't see anything. I swear. You sure? You seem awfully stressed for someone who didn't see anything. Grr. Oh, he's not very emotionally stable. Which Athena can help with. Sarge, you need to answer my question. Shut your pie hole, maggot! It'll be a scorching day in Siberia before a lowly private like you orders me around. What's with him in Siberia of all places? But if a scorching day is what it'll take, then maybe it's time to turn up the heat. Hey, Athena, you think a therapy session might help? Yes. Well, it could help alleviate some of the anxiety. Plus, I'm picking up a lot of discord in Sarge's voice. Alright, well, I'll have to do that next time. Sounds great. Sounds fun. Okay. Yeah, I'll do that tomorrow. Goodbye.